today we break down Intel, the tech giant shaping global innovation and global controversy. Intel basically is one of the world leading chips maker. Their processor power laptop, servers, AI system and cloud networks are everywhere. They operation worldwide, but one of their most critical hubs is in Israel, a major center for advanced research and high volume manufacturing. Intel's strong presence in Israel uh, has been raised ethical question. Human rights groups argue that multinational tech company may indirectly support state system that involved in the Gaza conflict, and Intel investment in Israel put it directly in the spotlight, making debate about economics, responsibility, and the moral cost of operating in conflict zone. And to understand the issue, we look at the Intel stakeholder. Large investors like BlackRock and Vanguard push the Intel to grow and protect the profit. And the CEO also the board approved the billion-dollar factory plans, and suppliers worldwide depend on the Intel's stability and affect the community, including Palestinian, that face impact despite having the least power. So what the dilemma that the interface basically continue major operation that boost profit and fuel Israel economy, or reconsider the role that amid equation of human rights capacity, and critics say Intel has not been transparent but prioritize growth over the moral responsibility.
Next, we're going to talk about the Intel decision-making process. First, the ethical dilemma. Intel had to choose between continuing its investment, which support business growth and technology, and responding to global concern about human rights. Although the investment creates jobs and strengthens supply chain, it also exposed the company to serious criticism. Next, the key decision makers. The choice was mainly made by Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, senior executive, and the board of directors, with coordination from the Israel government for support and incentive. At the same time, the CEO personally expressed strong support for Intel operation in Israel. Finally, transparency and responsibility. Intel made generous statements like "We support peace" and "We're committed to Israel." However, they didn't fully address ethical concerns raised by activists or the global community. As a result, the decision appears more financially driven than socially responsible. Overall, Intel faced a tough challenge, made decisions at the top level, and communicated publicly. But transparency and social accountability were limited.
Now, let's look at the ethical implications of Intel's investment in Israel during the Gaza genocide. Intel committed $35 billion to build a chip making plant in Israel, and in return, received a $3.2 billion grant from the Israel government. These decisions don't just affect shareholders, they directly impact Palestinian civilians who are suffering under military actions funded and supported by the same government Intel's partner. Were principles like honesty, justice, and accountability observed? It's hard to argue that they were. Justice requires protecting innocent life, yet Intel prioritized profit and strategic advantage over humanitarian concerns. Accountability means recognizing the consequence of corporate decisions, but Intel has not acknowledged the ethical cost of its investment. Through utilitarianism, the harm to thousands of civilians outweighed the economic benefit. From a deontological view, Intel failed its duty to respect human rights. In short, Intel's investment strengthened its business but ethically shows complicity, injustice, human suffering.
From an Islamic ethical perspective, Intel's decision to continue supporting operations in Israel raises major concerns. In Islam, every decision must reflect fundamental values like justice, mercy, and public interest. Allah even mentioned in Quran, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse number 2, where this ayah clearly means that any form of support, whether direct or indirect, that contributes to harm or oppression is not acceptable. So, when a company continues investing in a situation that is closely linked to human rights violation, it goes against this Quranic principle. From here, the concept of Tawheed, or the unity of purpose, reminds us that business decisions shouldn't be driven merely on profit. Intel's focus on financial growth without addressing the humanitarian crisis shows a lack of moral alignment with this value. Second, amanah, meaning trust. A company carries a responsibility toward the society it affects. When Intel fails to properly respond to global concerns about harm to civilians in Palestine, it shows a weakness in fulfilling this trust. Third is adil, which is justice. In Islam, any decision that indirectly supports oppression or injustice is ethically problematic. If Intel's investment strengthens a state involved in violence, then it goes against the principle of adil. Fourth is ihsan, acting with excellence and compassion. Intel's statements didn't even show empathy toward victims. A response guided by ihsan would prioritize humanity, not just business stability. And finally, maslahah, the public interest. While Intel's investment may benefit its business and local economy, the greater public interest should be protected, which is the innocent civilian's life. Overall, from an Islamic ethical lens, Intel's decisions appear misaligned with key values. A more ethical approach would balance business goals with justice, compassion, and global responsibility.
So, what should Intel have done differently? Let's break it down fast. First, do a proper human rights checks. Before investing billions in a conflict zone, Intel could have run a full human rights assessment to spot risks early. Second, be transparent. Intel could publicly share reports about its operation in Israel and engage with human rights groups. They say transparency builds trust and avoids controversy. Third, use a conflict-sensitive approach. That means we need to be asking, could our investment make the situation worse? If yes, pause and redesign the project. So, what can Intel do to act more ethically? Let's make it simple. First, always check for human rights risks before investing. Before starting any new project, Intel should ask, could this harm people? If the answer is yes, fix the issues or don't continue at all. Second, use an independent watchdog. Brings in outside experts to monitor the company and make sure the rules are actually followed. This will keep everything fair and square. Third, train the staff. Employees and managers need to understand the conflict and the risk when people are trained on ethics. They make better decisions. In short, check for any harm, stay transparent, educate your team, and be ready to step back when needed. That's how Intel or any global company can prevent future ethical problems. Thank you.